for coming in this evening. It's been a Jewish, Hebrew, Yiddish marathon these past 2 days with many hours. And we can laugh and we can kibitz a little bit about, oh my goodness, back in shul. But this is something special that those joining here this evening in physical presence have placed the priority and emphasis on being here as part of the Jewish community at this season of the year. And those joining in online have also made it a priority. We'll begin with the Shalom Aleichem on page number 5. And again, it's a delight to welcome Julie Spiegel to our being on page 5, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, B'melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'chem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, B'melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'chem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, B'melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, B'melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
The Chumrah on page number 11. Page 12, Arbaim Shana, page 12, the last stanza on page number 12.
Arbaim Shana, Akod Bedor, Va'omar, Anzu Levatchem, Ve'em Lo Yadu, Zarechai, Asher Nishpati Me'api, Im Ya'avun El Menuchati.
Page 20, Romu. In this Hebrew, page 20, Romu is the Hebrew word. It means lift up. But what it really means is lift up of the spirit, of the mind. And it's sometimes translated as exalt or extol. So lift up and praise, thinking about God, lifting up your voice to lift your spirit as you and I move to someplace higher than ourselves. On page number 20, it's the last 3 lines at the top of the page. Romu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho.
On page 21, this Psalm is nicknamed as Mo David. It is Psalm 29. God's name is mentioned 18 times in this psalm. And therefore this psalm takes on a special fame, you might say, a special character or energy. God's name. As far as I know, this is the most frequently mentioned God's name in the psalm within our tradition. So it stands out, and that's probably why we chant or sing or recite it both Friday night and Shabbos morning. So, there's no video.
Yes,
entire Charedi, there's a little bit of artistry and a little bit of also good-natured competitive aspiration. And in some presentations of the Charedi, halfway through, the leader changes melody. It's considered a little bit of a manifestation of the artistry of the Charedi, because there are many different melodies of the Charedi, and why sing the same melody all the way through when you have all these different stanzas? Why not change it up a little bit? So tonight we'll be doing the entire Charedi, pages 23, 24, and 25. And have you thought about where you're switching?
Yes, I think starting with the 6th verse, Lo Teboshi.
Lo Teboshi. So 23 and 24, the first 5 stanzas, one melody, and then we'll pause for a little bit, and we'll listen, and then we'll try to follow along with the new melody, which is Lo Teboshi, bottom of 24, on through 25, and then we rise as we normally do near the conclusion of Bo, we face the doors.
Sorry, I just have that to 1 second. Blinking on the tune things. Sorry, I'm going to start with the verses and then help me get to it. Shamu bezachor bedibor echad yishvi'alo elav yuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'lefilah. to cue you. And then we'll come together and I'll do this. Lo tevoshi, lo tevoshi, lo tikami, mati shtochi, umatemi, ba'af yechesu, ani ami. All together.
Being able to switch in the middle, taking on a whole new melody, that's special. That's special. Page 27, Miss Mushy. of Yudith Adonai, I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand, the fool does not apprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like the cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of God. They flourish in their God's courtyards. In old age, they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaim. None is upright. My rock in the river is no Tzadikat Hamayim.
Tzadikat Hamayim.
We rise now from the Oracle on page 39A. Page 39A, Oracle. With timeless love, you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You've taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai our God, as we lie down and as we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we shall meditate day and night. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people of Israel. Page 41. Malchut Torah Tzon Kibalehem. It's the top of page 44. It's the first little red arrow. The top of page number 44, introducing Umichamocha, Malchut Torah Tzon.
Umalchut Torah Tzon Kibalehem. Moshe Miriam Bnei Yisrael Acha'anu Shira Besimcha Rabba V'Amaru Chulam.
Looking at the English, the translation of the last 5 lines, and I want to point out a word. In a moment, we'll say this bracha together, both in Hebrew and English. But first, if you look at the line, may you spread over us your canopy of peace. That's a poor translation, because if you look at the Hebrew side, the words are ufros, spread, aleinu over us, sukkah, the sukkah. Sukkah is a very deliberate Jewish term, a very Jewish construct, pun intended. And we're asking God to construct a sukkah of shalom over upon us, all of Israel, and over the entire world. And what's the definition of a sukkah? Number one, it's fragile, and it is susceptible, it's vulnerable to all manner of outside forces, but it's also resilient. And it can give and move just a little bit against some of the winds, some of the external forces. And maybe that's a definition of shalom. If you were to build a skyscraper with steel and concrete and rebar, it would have no give and no move. And perhaps it would withstand stronger forces, but it'd be frozen. Because the sukkah has give. And the other element of the sukkah is that the sukkah is defined by having branches on top. A sukkah is defined by having enough open space that you and I can see the stars above us. And then we're connected to the skies and the heavens. When we take that as a metaphor for shalom, that we can see beyond ourselves, somewhere out there, and be illuminated by starlight, this baby. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your sukkah of shalom, the ruach ataranai, who spreads the sukkah of shalom over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem and the world.
Nishmor teiteinu Eloheinu, l'chaim u'l'shalom, me'ata be'ad olam, ufros aleinu sukkah shalomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, v'sukkah shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. Page 46, before we begin, just a reminder, the words comes from the Torah. There are many different melodies for the shamru. Some of us have gotten used to one particular melody, but there are many different melodies. And I'm just trying to bring us a different melody, right? They've heard it a few times, but not enough. Okay, thank you.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat la'asot et Hashabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We're in Shabbos now, and officially Rosh Hashanah is concluding. So we're in Shabbos, but we want to hold on to Rosh Hashanah. And so inside the Shabbos Amidah, we take a few phrases from Rosh Hashanah, and we insert them into the Shabbat Amidah. And they're labeled here. We do have to open our eyes to look for the labels. So here we go. Page 47 is as usual. Page 48, at the top of the page, there's a small red italicized instruction. This is called Shabbat Shuvah. That's the name of the Shabbos. And so we include the phrase Zofreinu L'chaim, or remember us for life. That's the first special insertion. Near the bottom of page 48, it says on Shabbat Shuvah we add Mi Chamocha on the English side, who is like you, source of compassion. And so add that as well. And we finish page 48. Lo and behold, top of page 49, look at the little red ink. It says on Shabbat Shuvah we say Baruch Atah Adonai, the Holy Star, instead of Baruch Atah Adonai, the Holy God. Don't worry, it gets easy. And if you look at page number 50, there's no insertion. But on page 51 we make up for that, because on page 51, at the top of the page, on Shabbat Shuvah we add a very famous phrase. Inscribe us and all of our people in the book of life, Uchtov L'Chaim Tovim. And at the very bottom, it's B'Sefer Chaim, again reiterating the message of being inscribed in the book of life. For the next 7-8 days, until we get to the end of Yom Kippur, we'll be inserting these little phrases on days that are not Rosh Hashanah, not Yom Kippur, until we get to Yom Kippur ends. And that way, the intermediate days take on a glow of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We rise to silent prayer for a few minutes of private thought. We're on page number 53, and the interesting element of this, which is called named Sheva, some will call it as follows. We've been down in the lobby these past days. Julian is doing beautiful davening, and you know, of course, the Kedusha, which is very famous. And Kedusha traditionally is recited, actually it's only recited in what's called Shacharit, and Musaf and Mincha in the morning, in the middle of the day, in the afternoon services. There is no Kedusha for Ma'ariv. This is evening service. But at some point, I think about 1,000 years ago or so, people kind of missed Kedusha at the evening. So we created a replacement for the Kedusha by taking a phrase or two representing the 7 blessings of the Friday night Amidah, and kind of compiled them into one little unit. That's what we have here. And so the first little section here is by Chulu, which part of me is coming out of the book of Breshit, talking about the creation of the universe. And there's the introduction of the Amidah. And then there's this artificial little paragraph on the bottom of the page called Magain Avot, the shield of our ancestors, which is that artificial, quasi-attempted summary version of a Kedusha created element, which is for fun. And because Jews think singing and saying prayers is fun, right? Of course. And then we'll put them on the top of page number 54 in just a minute.
ויפלו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני Shir
This is not really a sermon. You've had a lot of sermons lately, but just a thought. This is obviously just hours after Rosh Hashanah. And yesterday and today, we experienced the blowing of the shofar. And immediately after the blowing of the shofar, in the latter part of the service, there's the phrase, Hayom Harat Olam. Behold, this is the birth of the universe. And then a bit later, we sing, Ahavas Chesed Synagogue. Rosh Hashanah is considered the birth of the universe, the birthday of the universe. And that brings to mind, when I'm thinking about it, what's described in the book of Bereshit, the creation of the universe. And right now, we're at a threshold in our experience of holiday and Shabbat. And tomorrow we're going to be reading the next last Torah reading of the book of Deuteronomy, and then in a week or two we will get to the point where we'll start reading the Torah as we normally do every single year, the Bereshit event once more. There's a phrase that this year catches hold of me, and it's the description of the creation of humanity. And some people are not quite as familiar with this. We tend to talk about there's Adam, and God does thoracic surgery, and opens up, and takes a rib, and fashions and stretches it, and exhales, and breath of life, and there's Eve, and ta-da. But what we're doing is we're skipping a phrase that occurs about 15 sentences before. And the phrase is, God says, it's very important to create humanity. And the way that God says it's very important to create humanity is God says literally, let us create human beings in our own image, humanity in our own image. And of course, many commentaries jump up outside the Torah and say, what does it mean to say, let us create humanity in our image? Because there's only one God who's doing the talking. And a series of consensuses is that God thinks it's so important to create humanity that God consults the angels. The angels inhabit an esoteric realm. And God wants to run this insanity by, not inhabitants, but experiences of unearthly nature. We're going to create something new. And there are many different sub-commentaries that come out of that. And I want to stop just for a moment and I say, appreciate this line of thinking in our Midrash that says that we are so valid and valued and cherished that God needed to just run an idea by the angels. So the angels have in some way input into our becoming who we are. And I want that on the shelf, that angels have a little bit of input into who we are as we are in the planning stages of being, becoming. And then following that phrase, God says, let us create humanity in our image. And God created human being, one word. Male and female, God created them. God created human being. Male and female, God created them. So God created human being, which is one, it's Adam, one. God created human being, Adam, one. Male and female, God created them. So, well, Adam was one. God created human. Semicolon, let's say. Male and female. Last I checked, that's two. Created them. Well, then it has to be plural, right? So what are we to make of this phrasing that only occurs as a result of God's interaction with the angels according to the commentary in the Midrash? There must be something very specific about the Adam, the human that God created, such that in the Torah it says, male and female, God created them. And there are a number of responses that I'll have to. First response is that God created male and female to be two separate beings, but they are equal nature, equal standing, equal stature, equal prestige, equal importance, and they're side by side. And in these days, when as an observer in general life, I see challenges even in our 21st century in terms of how people view each other, with gender, with roles, with, in some communities or some perspectives, attitudes that males are superior and others are not. very troubled with. I look at this phrase in the Torah. It says, the divine plan, which passed the muster of the angels, includes the presentation that people are side by side, of equal nature, of equal quality, of equal standing, of equal stature, of equal importance, of equal prestige. One response. And the second response is one of mystical significance, but it always makes me smile with a great deal of love. And the second solution that's offered is, God created Adam, male and female had created them. And here's the very, very strange, but I think it's a really neat, exciting commentary, is that when God made that first human, God made that human with a duality of nature. One person, but an integrated whole with both masculine and feminine quality, masculine and feminine features. Masculine and feminine elements, you might say. If you wanted to use a different word, you could say an androgynous being, you might say. And then at a certain point, later on in creation, God chose to pull those two features, those qualities apart, and personify them as male and female, with each one having unique qualities specific unto the self to go out into the world. And I don't see that necessarily as all that different than the first presentation, the first expression that we have two beings, and they're of equal significance and prestige and stature, standing side by side, walking out to the world. Yes, sir.
Rabbi, the man has that X and the white chromosome.
Which means what?
Well, if you take two X's, you have a female, you have X and Y, you have a male. So in the male is the major letter.
Ah, beautiful. That's a great response. That's also Midrash. See, you're bringing biochemistry into the Midrash response. Excellent. Or molecular chemistry, whatever you call it. Beautiful. Love it. Please.
In upper level university classes, the science focus also supports that, where the ocean creatures that were most similar to were androgynous, and then the distinction between male and female did happen later to the land creatures.
Interesting. So because we're talking about Shabbat, post-Shabbat, and Rosh Hashanah, which is a spiritual reality and perspective, as we move into this new year, what can we take hold of as spiritual guidance? We're walking into a brand new year. And how shall we view each one of ourselves individually? And how shall we interact with the self? And how shall we interact with others who are outside of ourselves? And the context that God has created, a beauty, a universe unparalleled by the fact that God has to check things out, the angels, in association with creation of humanity, separate from everything else in the universe, tells us that we as humans inhabit a very special role. Let us take hold of humanity. Let us take care of holiness. Let us take care of consulting with the divine as we move into the next experience of our lives this year. May this year be a year of holiness and of respect and of appreciation of beauty. So we'll make Kiddush in a little bit. For now, it's the Aleinu on page number 56. Please rise to the Aleinu, page 56.
Aleinu Shabbat L'Zon HaKol L'Teikin L'Yom Seir Bereshit Shelo L'Sana P'nei Ha'atzot V'lo Samanu K'mishpachot Ha'adama Shelo Samcha V'enu Kahem V'lo Rabbeinu K'chol Ha'amona V'anachnu Korim U'mishtachorim U'modim V'kakatu b'tzortecha Adonai ilach le'laved v'ne'emar Adonai v'ne'emar kol haaretz bayom ha'hu yireh Adonai echad v'shemo echad.
Remembering our loved ones within the shoal, according to our calendar work sites, Tina D. Solomon, Joe Kramer, Holden Kramer, Roger Bloom, James Ward, Minnie Miller, Leon Harold Michigan, Ann Wiedenbaum, Abraham Miller, Lonnie Voigt, Eileen Sherman, Cindy Goldrich, Cassilie Koppel, Laura Lapkin, Soretta Livitz, Rita Miller. Are there any other names to mention this evening? Remember all of our loved ones who were stolen from us by the attacks against Israel, and all the soldiers who have fought to defend Israel in these ensuing 11 and a half months. Kaddish on page number 58. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, Amen. Be'olah divrach yerutei v'yazik malchutei v'chai echon v'yom echon v'chayei v'chol v'et Yisrael v'adalah v'bizaman kariv v'ru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba v'olam v'omei v'maya Yitbarach v'yishtarach v'yitcha'ar v'yitcha'am v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei v'kudusha v'yitchu la'ela mikol v'chata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram v'amal v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shalom rabo min shamayim v'chayim ha'inu Yaakov Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. V'seh shalom b'nama u'yaseh shalom aleinu Yaakov Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Shalom upon us all. On page 59, you may be seated, page 59. As we said before, this is a psalm we started reciting this 1 month ago. Every morning service, every evening service leading up through Rosh Hashanah, into Yom Kippur, past Yom Kippur, into the holiday of Sukkot, and the day before Sukkot, which is Shmini Atzeres, when we stop. So there's an element here of preparation for this entire season. It's recited for 6.5 weeks. And if you look at page 59 on the English side, you see the red transliteration, which is a standout phrase. And if you will, those 3 English sentences or lines just above the red translit, and then we'll sing the red translit, which is also found on the Hebrew side in the bold print. And that's just a landmark. One thing I ask of Adonai, this is what I seek, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's peacefulness, and to pray in God's sanctuary.
Achat sha'ati meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'ati meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti bebeit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker b'echalo. Lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker b'echalo.
We'll conclude with the Yigdal on page 62, and then we're Kiddush and mostly outside the sanctuary.
So make sure everyone's high holiday.
Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtaha v'yisrael v'yotzo echad v'yachid v'yifudo v'elom v'gamiso v'achduto eno v'tadu v'eno Yafeh.